everybody, welcome to my Legacy Triathlon recap. I'm here to talk about everything from the Expo, the run, the swim, and the bike, not particularly in that order, but I just want to talk about the whole experience. I'm not a competitive triathlete, but I just do it because it's a nice challenge and it's a good type of fitness for me to do. So let's talk about the Expo. First of all, I checked out a hotel over down in Long Beach. It was called the Hilton Long Beach. And they had a complimentary shuttle, which I found really cool and useful because it took me from the venue to the hotel and vice versa. I got to the Expo and it was a really quick and easy process. Went to check out a lot of the area and the course, which was really useful. Checked out the transition area, went to see exactly where my spot was gonna be for transition. They also had the open water swim. I was really tempted to sign up for that because it was quick, like $35, swim 1,000 meters, and it would have prepared me for the swim course the next morning, but I just didn't want to risk wearing myself out because I don't swim that much. But I thought that was a really cool thing that they hosted was the open water swim, and maybe next year I'll try it again and then do the actual open water swim. So moving on to race day, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I think I slept maybe 5 hours, but it was fine. I usually operate with not a lot of sleep anyway. One of the things that I was concerned about was that since it's Long Beach, it's on the coast, it's gonna be cold in the morning. I got out of the hotel with my bike and started loading up the shuttle, and I realized, wow, it's really warm out here, especially on a Saturday morning, like around 5, 6 o'clock. And that actually gave me a little bit of encouragement because if it's that warm, that means the water's gonna be warm, which is also one of my concerns. Around 6:45, we walked over to the beach and started preparing the age groups to start the race. It was supposed to start at 7 a.m. and they were waiting for the law enforcement to clear the streets for the bike path in case when guys finish a swim, they wouldn't have to wait. They just go right to the bike and start the bike course. So we waited another 20 minutes to get in the water, and that's how the swim started. The swim was one of the disciplines that I was really nervous about, and it wasn't even about my ability to complete the distance. One of the anxieties I had was the temperature of the water. How cold was the water going to be that morning? I was like, wow, the water is only like 68 degrees, and I was really encouraged by that. I didn't have to worry about my lungs shrinking due to the coldness of the water, and I was very excited. I still wasn't comfortable because it's the pre-game jitters, and I was still a little nervous. And the one thing I noticed was that there's only maybe a handful of us. Not a lot of us were wearing just regular tri-suits. A lot of the guys out there were wearing wetsuits, and I found that very interesting because the water was only like 68 degrees, and I was curious to why they would still want to wear wetsuits at that time. One of the strategies I decided to do was to stay on the outside of the course and close to the buoy because I knew everyone was going to try to stay inside on the turn so they can shorten the distance. But given that I'm not a very fast swimmer, I knew I just had to be, in my open area by myself so I won't have too much anxiety. And speaking of anxiety, I think it was about 200 meters in, maybe 250, I started getting another panic attack. It was a very mild one, but this is the second time this has happened to me in open water. And I think the anxiety attack happens when I just see nothing but darkness in the water every time I put my head down in the water after breathing. So every time I put my head up to breathe, I realized it wasn't a smooth, solid breath in. And the more I kept paying attention to how much I was breathing poorly, I was getting more anxious and more panicked. And one of the strategies I had, and this might work for some people, is that every time I put my head back in the water to complete the stroke, I close my eyes. Even though it's still darkness I'm looking at, but it's just controlled darkness that I'm looking at. So every time I went in the water, closed my eyes immediately, and I was fine after that. and I kept going. I could see the lifeguard on his paddle boards, pedaling towards me because I was one of the last guys in my age group to get out of the water. So he saw me trailing and the gap kept increasing. But as he saw that I was still going, he found that I was okay. I also wore earplugs, so if he tried to say anything, I couldn't hear him anyway. And then I saw the other age group that came after us. I don't know what the time gap was, but maybe a minute. I saw a guy with a green swim cap and he passed me up. But there's only one or two. But at that time I kept thinking, oh crap, another age group is gonna pass me up and they're probably gonna think, oh man, this guy sucks in the water, which I do, but whatever. So I finished the swim and I checked my heart rate after the swim. It was like at 170. And I was jogging over towards transition 1 and realized like I was trying to breathe, taking much air because I was so happy to be out of the water. Once I got to transition 1, I think my time after the swim to transition to the bike was about close to 5 minutes, and it wasn't because I was taking my sweet time on it, which was the thing I was actually working on. It was like the distance from the water to the actual bike transition area. It was pretty far, and I didn't want to burn myself out just running there, so I just jogged and got there. At this time, I put on my shoes right before because I don't have cycling shoes, I don't have clips or anything like that. So I thought that would be a good advantage of starting with your running shoes on the bike, so when I get off, I don't have to worry about putting on shoes. Dried my feet, put on my socks, my shoes, packed my gel, packed my water bottle, and then got my helmet on and started running over to the course. Cycling was the thing I've been practicing the most in the past 4 or 5 months because I actually bought a legit road bike for racing. And in the past, I've used a mountain bike, I used a hybrid bike, and they're both good. As long as you have a bike to do, you can complete the race, but I wasn't concerned about just completing it. I wanted to beat my previous listed time, which was 2 hours and 2 minutes. Once I got on the course, I applied my training, started pedaling harder, faster. I noticed I've been picking people off. I was only going on average about 18 miles an hour, which is okay. It's what I've been training. And I wish I could go faster, but I wasn't. The actual course itself, it was nice and flat, very slow rolling hills, but it wasn't too bad. My top speed was about 26 miles an hour, which was nice. And it was a 2-loop course. The only thing I had gripes about with the course was the actual street. And as we all know, California is not the most beautiful in terms of its streets. There's a lot of cracks, potholes, and all that stuff. So one of the things I felt really bad about was I was on the bike course and someone behind me said, on your left, but right when she said that, I was trying to avoid a pothole. And so I veered left a little bit just to avoid it, and right when she said, on your left, I almost hit her, and she said, whoa, dude. I felt bad, but I just shouted pothole, and whether she heard me or not, it wasn't intentional. I was just trying to prevent myself from eating a lot of crap on the road. And one of the rookie mistakes that I did was I locked my water bottle. And in the heat of the moment of racing, there's no time to even think. There's no time to even try to figure out what's going on. But I couldn't open my water bottle. It was full of Pedialyte, and I was hoping to hydrate as much as possible on the bike so I can be ready for the run. But it was just, I was twisting it and trying to open it, and it wouldn't open. And later on, after I got off the bike, I realized I was twisting it the wrong way and got as much fluid as I can right when I finished the bike, but it wasn't enough. Once I finished the cycling course, ran to the transition area, dropped my bike off, and back when I said about putting my shoes on before the bike, that really helped me save some time. And I knew the run was going to be really hard, especially after riding. I practiced that in training, which was just riding and running about 2 miles after the riding, and it was already hard in training, and I knew it was going to be hard in the race. So once I got on the race course, I knew it was going to be survival mode. and it turned out worse than I thought. I wasn't running as hard as I could. My legs felt like they were filled with concrete, and I just couldn't run any faster. And it happened again this time around, but my heart rate still stayed at 170, and I still couldn't bring it back down no matter how slow I ran, or even the numerous times where I walked. Still couldn't get my heart rate down. I don't know what that was, but it was very hard. A lot of people were picking me off. It wasn't discouraging, but I just said to myself, you know, you just got to do what you got to do, and eventually you'll finish a 5K run. And then it came to a point where I saw a group of people who were supposedly about a quarter mile behind me, and seeing their rate of how they were running, I knew they were going to catch up to me, and I only had about a mile left. And I said to myself, I can't let these people pass me up, because that would just be embarrassing, because they probably finished their bike course a long time ago, and here I am just struggling on the run. Once it came about 200 yards left, I was still at a 170 heart rate, but I told myself this is where you got to empty the tank, and this is something I always do. I always empty the tank at the last 100, 200 meters and just do an all-out sprint, whatever I got. So I did some big horse strides to try to pass some people. I think I passed about maybe 7 or 8 people, and it made me feel a little bit better by just knowing that the people that would have passed me up, their splits are probably still faster than mine. So, but just knowing I crossed the finish line before them, that's just a mental thing that I wanted to do. So overall, my racing experience at the Legacy Triathlon was very good. It was well organized, felt like a legit Olympic event, and I just felt like one of the athletes that would actually do a competitive triathlon. And it was really cool, well organized. The people were great. It was encouraging to see so many people from different ages, fitness levels, completing the triathlon. My only gripe about the triathlon was the medals. Just knowing how the medals looked in 2019, I was expecting to get something similar to that in 2021, but we ended up getting like these long medals that look like bottle openers, and I think that's what they are. And I was very disappointed in that, and I put it in the survey for USA Triathlon. Hopefully they get it. But I'm pretty sure there's a logical explanation of why we got bottle openers as medals. Overall, fun experience. I hope everyone signs up for it, especially when it's a proposed site for the triathlon event for the 2028 Olympics, and I hope everyone signs up for it. And it's really cool. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully the next one comes along and very nice.